welcome to our Zoom session. Lately, we've been working with occupational therapy graduate students with the USC Chan Division of Occupational Science and Occupational Therapy. They've been doing a fantastic job so far, helping all of the people who attend our meetings, retirees, alumni, or current faculty and staff, and just helping teach us how to age healthier and achieve great overall wellness. So which OT student also is going to be sharing their computer today so we can make you co-host?
That is me.
Cheyenne.
Okay.
And before we begin formally, we just wanted to make sure that everyone had a piece of paper, that everyone had pencils or colored pencils or crayons or magic markers for you to fill out your wheel. So take a moment to get any material that you need.
Crayons.
And then we wanted to reintroduce ourselves for those of you who weren't here last time when we gave our first presentation. So I'm Maria Cristina. This is Cheyenne.
Hello, everyone.
Patricia.
Hi, everyone.
Jane.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Marissa.
Hi, everyone.
Christy.
Hi, everyone.
And Lishan.
Hello, happy Friday.
So there's 7 of us. And now I think we're ready for our presentation, if that's okay with you, Jeanette.
Sure, please.
Okay, thank you all for being here. And thank you to the USC Emeriti Center, to Jeanette and Courtney especially. We are excited to be giving our second of 4 presentations. This one is called Adjusting to Life During the COVID-19 Pandemic. COVID-19 has affected and is affecting all of us, globally and individually. Though we are all going through this pandemic together, paradoxically, it's also an incredibly isolating time. This is a momentous era in history, a disruptive, ongoing, and stressful time, yet it also may provide us with important opportunities and lessons for growth. This presentation will invite you to consider and reflect on changes you may be going through related to your health. Since occupational therapy is a holistic profession, we will highlight all the ways OT can help you become aware of your wellness and improve on it. OT can help you process the changes you're experiencing in a client-centered manner and in your own time frame. OT will help you develop awareness over different aspects of your life, including those aspects you need to and want to improve, while exploring strategies that may aid you through challenges. Now, my colleague Cheyenne will talk about our objectives. Thank you.
So we have some goals that we hope you will be able to learn from as we go through this whole presentation. First, we would like you to gain an understanding of wellness in a holistic manner, and you'll see how that's presented later. We also hope that you'll have the opportunity to assess your own wellness and situation during this time of COVID-19. We also hope that you'll have an opportunity to problem solve some strategies that will help you improve your own wellness. And then finally, we hope that you will be able to engage in a collaborative discussion within the group regarding your own situation, as well as ideas and feelings and thoughts that you have. So we're hoping that you'll have the opportunity to do that. And now I'm going to pass it on to Christy, who will talk more about what the presentation is going to look like overall.
Thanks, Cheyenne. So this is a slide of how our presentation is going to flow today. So we're going to introduce the 8 dimensions of wellness, and then we're going to have an drawing activity of drawing the wellness wheel. And then as we go along the presentation, feel free to follow along and shade in the wheel. Lee Chan will be talking about that a little bit more later. And then we will have breakout rooms for small group discussions. So each of us will be breaking out into smaller groups of 3 to 5, and then we'll discuss about wellness. And then we'll come back to this big group and then share ideas with each other. So next I'm gonna pass it to Jane to talk a little bit more about wellness.
Hey, I'm Jane, and before we start our presentation, we want to think about what words come to your mind when you think of wellness. And please feel free to share any of them so we can all see what our other responses might be. So might take a minute to think about it. Oh, we have some responses. We have health, optimal living, mental and physical well-being, good health, balance. Yeah, balance is very important with all these areas. Being physically and mentally fit. We're going to be talking about that. Harmony, happiness. And being mentally well. Yeah, there's so many aspects of this that you're going to see as we go through the presentation that are going to involve both physical and mental health. Exercise, walking, calm state of being, serenity, being holistically well. That's the goal of OT, is to help all of you in a holistic way. So thank you for all those messages that you sent in the chat. And now we're going to go to the next slide. And I'm going to describe for you what we're going to be working on today. This is the health and wellness wheel, we're calling it. And this was made up by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, which for short is SAMHSA. And it's a wellness model that includes 8 different areas of your life. So we're going to be looking at the physical wellness, social wellness, emotional wellness, environmental wellness, and then spiritual, occupational, intellectual, and financial wellness. Now they've divided wellness into these areas so that we can focus on details within each one, but just so you know that they're very often interrelated with each other in a lot of different ways. And one example is like getting a good night's rest is very important for your physical wellness, but a lack of sleep can also impact your relationships, your productivity, and our ability to concentrate and our energy. And so as we go through the presentation today, we'll be discussing each of these areas in detail so you can learn more about them. So next, Lishan is gonna show you how to set up your own wheel format and help you draw one for yourself.
Hi, everyone. I know Courtney sent out an email with an attachment that you could print, but if you just didn't get the chance or you forgot, that's totally fine, because we're going to draw our wellness wheel together. So if you have your piece of paper, you want to put it in front of you, the first thing you want to do is just draw a large circle. So try to fill as much of that piece of paper as you can and just have this big circle. And then after that, you're going to divide the circle in half with a line down the middle. And once you're done with that, you'll draw another line, but horizontal this time, so that it separates the wheel into 4 sections. And then you'll do 2 more lines, now diagonal, to basically just create a pie chart with 8 sections. So it should look something just like this, or like the slide, with 8 sections and a big pie. You can go to the next slide. So each of these sections will represent a category of wellness. We will fill in each section as we go, so don't worry too much about labeling it right now. But what we're going to be doing is labeling each section as we go and then filling them in terms of how satisfied we feel with that category of wellness. So your wheel in the end might look something like this wheel on the right, where some categories are a little more full and some are a little less. And so this will give you a nice holistic picture of your wellness and your health at this time. And if you also want to take notes about each category, feel free to do so, because we're going to be going through each one. And we'll also talk you through filling the categories in. So with that, I'm going to pass it along to Christy, who's going to talk about physical wellness.
Thanks, Lishan. So the first section of the pie chart is physical wellness. So according to SAMHSA's definition, the physical wellness is recognizing the need for physical activity, healthy foods, and sleep. So physical wellness doesn't only mean being physically active, but it also means that it's important to monitor your intake of healthy foods and having adequate amount of sleep, because these daily habits are actually strongly connected to our physical health. And personally, for me, before and after the pandemic, I have realized that I have some shifts in my physical health. So for example, I became a little more sedentary than usual because of the stay-at-home order. I find myself snacking more and going on my phone more. And then sometimes I have friends that order takeouts all the time because they're lazy to cook. And then the anxiety of how the pandemic is affecting the whole world can affect sleep. And then being on your phone and adding more screen time to your life can affect sleep as well. So these are, so I invite you to think a little bit more about how your life has shifted regarding your physical wellness before and after the pandemic, as we talk about the 6 areas of maintaining physical wellness. So the first area is nutrition. So make sure that you always have fresh, healthy food and keep a diet journal if possible. The second area is physical activity. So whether it's taking a walk around the neighborhood or parking further away in the parking lot or taking stairs instead of elevators, that's all like some sort of physical activity that you could incorporate in life. And then the third area is sleep. So try to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep if possible, and avoid screen time and exercising and large meals before bedtime. And then the fourth area is alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use. So if you're struggling with these issues, you could utilize tools to help cut down substance use, or when you feel like you need to rely on the substances, you could instead reach out to friends and family and talk about the things that you're going through. Number 5 is medication safety. So storing medication properly, reviewing your expiration dates, and then it's also very important to carry a list of medication on you just in case of emergencies. And then the last area is preventive medicine. So always just going to visit doctors and healthcare providers for routine care and monitoring. Check your blood pressure, waist circumference, blood sugar regularly to prevent chronic conditions. So now look at your chart, and then you can pick any section on the wheel and label it physical. So if you feel confident that you've achieved all these 6 areas at this moment, then you can fill it up. You can fill the whole section up. But if you feel like you've only achieved half of the areas of physical wellness, you can fill the section half full. So feel free to do the same thing for each section as we go. And does anyone have any questions about filling the wheel? Okay, sounds like we're doing well. So I'm gonna pass it to Marissa to talk a little bit more about social wellness.
Thanks, Christy. Social wellness can be manifested in many ways. So it involves feeling like you're connected to others, belonging to a network of people that you create and that you're able to maintain, having relationships that are authentic and respectful, ones in which you can be genuine and fully yourself, and one with healthy boundaries. Examples of social wellness may involve activities like sharing meals with friends or family, being part of the Emeriti Center or other organizations, utilizing healthy communication skills, ones that are assertive as opposed to passive or aggressive, and seeking support from others. With COVID-19, though, a lot of us might be experiencing a big reduction in being able to see people. Maybe before COVID, we were used to seeing people in person on a regular basis when we would go to restaurants, go to grocery stores, visit friends at each other's homes, go to maybe our church communities, even coming to the Emeriti Center events in person. And now that we can't do these things, we might be feeling a little bit more lonely, isolated, or sad. So at this time, I invite you to reflect on how have your habits and routines changed in terms of socializing since COVID-19? I'll just give you a few seconds to think about that. And then how have these changes impacted your well-being? Have there been any changes to your mood or your emotions, or maybe your energy level? And feel free to write these down even, next to that section on your wellness wheel that you label social wellness. And at this time, also, you can maybe reflect on how you're doing in that area and shade in that part of the wellness wheel. I'll give you a brief minute to do that. So now that we've been thinking about how we're doing, we can think about how we've been responding to these changes since COVID-19. So in the chat, I would love to hear from you all about how, during this time of social distancing, how have you promoted your own social wellness and stayed socially connected with others? Personally, I know my friends and I have been doing virtual book clubs and game nights and movie nights through Zoom, and that's been really helpful for me. Yeah, and someone else says also Zooming instead of meeting in person is really helpful, especially since you can see the other person's face. I think it's super helpful. FaceTiming, awesome. Social distance picnics, playing games online with friends, these are great. Yeah, family members are Zooming and getting to know one another better, especially extended and far. I've noticed that even in my own life that some friends from years ago that I didn't even know very well, but now I'm getting to know them better. Yeah, Zooming with family around the world, I think it's really connected people now that it's just so prevalent. Yeah, Zooming alleviates feelings of isolation. That's wonderful. I love the virtual tea time, calling at least one friend a day. That's a great goal. Writing letters, Zoom book clubs, calling friends that you haven't talked to in years, birthday parties on Zoom, that's creative. Using WhatsApp, so many wonderful things. Talking to neighbors outside, physically distanced and safe, that's awesome. Staying in touch with family, mindfulness sessions offered by SSW through Zoom. Yeah, so it's been great. There's been like workout classes online. There's different things that are being provided. Walking. These are awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. So next, I'll pass it on to Maria Christina, and she'll talk to you about emotional wellness.
Thank you, Marissa. So as I'm talking, feel free to write out emotional on the next slice of your wellness wheel. Emotional wellness, as defined by SAMHSA, deals with being able to cope effectively with life and create satisfying relationships. Emotional wellness has two aspects. One is an interior emotional life, and the other is an exterior emotional life related to our relationship with others. In terms of our interior emotional life, this has to do with the practice of self-care, including personal and psychological health, mental health support as needed, especially during this time where people might be feeling more stressed than usual. Is there a feeling you want to feel more? Maybe you want to feel more joy or more calm. Self-care also includes nourishing your senses in whatever way makes you feel more engaged and alive. Since we are spending so much time at home, that can mean, for instance, having music or certain scents like aromatherapy, essential oils, maybe opening up a window, bringing fresh flowers to brighten your day. In terms of relationships, emotional wellness has to do with being able to express your feelings through safe relationships and enjoying life, even while dealing with life stressors. You can contemplate if it's easier now to share how you're feeling because we're all going through the same pandemic. Some practices that you may be doing to help bolster your emotional wellness may include yoga, breathing practices, meditation, journaling. Maybe you've been doing these practices before COVID, or maybe you've started some of these now during COVID. Lastly, gratitude practice has a lot of research behind it, pointing to its benefits, including that it helps in sustaining relationship, and gratitude practice also is linked to our well-being, increases happiness, decreases depression. So think of something that you're grateful for today. Maybe it's something related to the senses. For instance, there's a tree outside my kitchen window that I've seen every day for years, but during COVID, I've paid more attention to it, and it's become very meaningful to me, and sometimes I spend a long time looking at it. So notice if your gratitude has shifted during the COVID era. In other words, are there things that you took for granted before that you're grateful for now? So go ahead and write on the chat one thing that you're grateful for today. So health, yes, that's a major one for me. Family, growing plants on the front porch, being with family, having your own washer and dryer. Oh, in your apartment, that's wonderful. Being happy. Someone wrote my organs, my organs for keeping me busy, healthy. Being happy, our students, chimes in the window, flowers in the yard, improved relationships with daughter. That's beautiful. I'm grateful to be able to fix up my house, my pet. Oh, someone found their niece and nephew that they had not seen since 1982. Having enough family and pets, having my wife. This is lovely, everyone. Thank you for sharing. Gratitude is like a gift that keeps on giving. Once you start thinking about one thing, more emerges. Yes, someone wrote not catching COVID. Absolutely. Well, thank you all for sharing. And now my colleague Cheyenne, oh, excuse me, before I finish, go ahead and fill out, if you haven't already, that section. So how satisfied do you feel with your emotional wellness? Okay, now Cheyenne will talk about environmental wellness. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria Cristina. So I would like to designate this time as well for you to pick a section and label it environmental wellness. And then as we go through, you can fill it out to represent your satisfaction with your own environment. So the definition of environmental wellness is occupying pleasant and stimulating environments that support your own well-being. So we occupy a lot of different environments in our life. COVID has impacted the ones that we have been able to interact with, specifically our home and neighborhoods. We're spending a lot more time at home, maybe more than we used to. And maybe you're finding that your home is supporting your health in many ways, but there are also ways in which maybe it's not helping. Maybe it's a little disorganized, and organizing and decluttering it could be something that reduces some stress. Or maybe you could bring some sort of nature into your home, like using natural lighting or bringing some sort of plant or picking flowers, something to help you feel more like you're outside. Also, the way we interact with our neighborhoods and communities has changed as well. I know that for me, I have changed the way I do my errands, especially my groceries. I go very early in the morning and try to limit the contact I have with other people so that I can keep myself safe and I can keep others safe. And I'm sure you're experiencing that as well. So thinking of other ways in which we can structure our days to support our own health and the health of our communities, as well as trying to find ways to get outside I know it's been really hard, especially in LA, lots of public areas are very busy, but if you have a balcony or a backyard or can take a walk in your neighborhood, being outside has been shown to really be beneficial for your own health. So now that I've mentioned that, I'd like to hear from you. What is one thing in your home that has supported your well-being during this time? I know that for me, I've rolled out my yoga mat, and every day it reminds me to take a minute to exercise for myself. So I'd like to hear from you anything that you have done or is in your home.
So Cheyenne, some people have written internet connection, decluttering, 30-minute walks, backyard, my dog.
Yes, those are all great. A lot of nature, and then the internet, great for connecting with people, great for learning. That's awesome.
Plants, gardening, watering, several people writing about plants, and Zoom exercising.
Yeah, that's great. You're using the resources around you, especially your natural environment, to improve your own health and maybe bring some life back into your home. I know that I don't have the opportunity to have much plants in my apartment, but I try to bring as many in as I can. That's so great. And I hope to hear more from you as we move into smaller group and larger group discussions. So please feel free to bring those up then. And now I'll pass it back to Maria Christina, who will talk about spiritual wellness.
Thank you, Cheyenne. So spiritual wellness, so as we move to the next aspect, feel free to write out spirituality in your wellness wheel. Spirituality has diverse definitions. Some may include the search for meaning and purpose in human experience. Another definition could be transcendence or connecting to something higher, related or unrelated to a belief in a higher being. Spirituality may not be the first activity or occupation that comes to mind when you think about your day or your life, yet it plays a profound role in the lives of individuals, especially those dealing with stressors, like, for instance, chronic illnesses, disabilities, and COVID-19. So how has your spiritual life changed during COVID? What is meaningful to you? Are you living a life consistent to your values and to your beliefs? An assessment that helps explore the role of spirituality in your life and helps incorporate it into your daily practice is called the HOPE assessment. HOPE in this case stands for hope, organized religion, personal practices, and effects on care. So now I'm going to ask you a few questions, but I don't want you to write them down on the chat or journal. I just want you to contemplate them. And because our presentation has been going on for more than 20 minutes, it's recommended to take a break every 20 minutes or so with our eyes. So I'm going to invite you to look out a window as I talk to you. Give your eyes a break from the screen. Maybe you want to stretch your arms for a moment and stretch. Maybe you want to blink your eyes or even close them. So I'll be asking you a few questions. So take this moment to maybe just look outside the window. So hope. How are you getting by through this overwhelming and tough time of COVID-19? What is sustaining you and what is keeping you going? So contemplate that. Organized religion. Are you part of an organized religion? If so, how is that helping you? Are you part of a spiritual community? And if so, how is that helping you? Personal practices. What personal practices related to spirituality are you engaging in since COVID-19, which are promoting a connection to yourself and to your higher self? For instance, do you pray? Do you meditate? Do you read scriptures? Do you like being in nature? And which of these practices do you find most helpful? Lastly, effects on care. How has being quarantined affected your relationship with your spiritual life? And is there anything we can work together to help you access your spiritual resources? So go ahead and fill out that slice of your wellness wheel related to spirituality in terms of how satisfied you feel that aspect is right now in your life. Thank you all for listening. And now my colleague Lishan is going to talk about occupational wellness.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Maria Cristina. So occupational wellness is defined as personal satisfaction and enrichment from one's work. So in this specific case, occupational wellness refers to work and productivity. And the main question it's asking is, like the picture says, is the work you do fulfilling? And in this case, I think work doesn't specifically have to refer to your career. I think it can refer to anything related to productivity in your life, or even relate to your roles. For example, as a parent, a grandparent, a volunteer. So overall, occupational wellness looks at your satisfaction and enjoyment from work. And during COVID, where traditional work might not be as accessible, occupational wellness can also refer to your work from home experience. But in addition to that work from home experience, it can also look like using your talents and skills to do meaningful activities, learning new things or developing new skills, and sharing any expertise you have with others. So a good example would be, for example, if you love to sew, maybe if you start during COVID, learning how to sew face masks and then giving them out, donating them or selling them, or even teaching other people how to make those masks, that could be included in occupational wellness. So I have a question for everyone here. If you can just type your answer in the chat. What is an example of something productive that you've done in the past week that made you feel good, that contributed to your wellness? For me personally, doing laundry or cleaning my room always feels really satisfying and makes me feel good and productive. Okay, so I see somebody said learning how to play the banjo, keeping busy with many projects, going outside and reading stories to your grandchildren, very sweet. Taking care of your dog, cooking, making masks, helping out. So there's a lot I see involving family, right? Grandchildren and children, as well as hobbies, working on quilts, making masks, and doing cleaning, even studying a foreign language, doing story hour, learning calligraphy. Yeah, this stuff is all great. You can definitely see that doing productive things and doing work in some cases can really contribute to your sense of wellness, and it can really make you feel good. So you can use this time now to fill out your wellness wheel, picking a section and then writing occupational wellness and filling in how satisfied you feel with your occupational wellness. And while you do that, I'm gonna pass the microphone on to Jane, who will be talking about intellectual wellness.
Hi, this is Jane again, and I am going to be talking about intellectual wellness. And before we get into it, I want to have you go to another slice of that pie and label it intellectual. But if you're using the printed one, I think that was sent out, we're going to make a little revision because we ended up choosing a little bit different labeled pie. So if you see an area that says recreational, just cross that out and put intellectual on that part, okay? So talking about intellectual wellness, this involves ways of exercising our brains by keeping our minds active and expanding our knowledge. And while we're practicing safer at home during COVID, we've all experienced changes that have impacted our ability to go out to a class, a lecture, or pursue hobbies like maybe group classes for crafts or arts, other activities out of the home that are meaningful to us and which also keep our minds active. So like for myself, I know that I miss going out to lectures or events in the community to learn about new things and attend social events where there's opportunities to discuss common interests with others in depth. So as you think about the recent changes in your own life, let's explore some ways to realize your own creative abilities, to put them to good use, and even find a way to gain new skills and knowledge. And before I talk about some ideas, I was wondering if anyone has anything to contribute or share on the chat that they have been starting to put into practice during the safer at home time. So feel free to write things in there. We can always help each other with ideas. And let's see what you guys have. Just getting in a car and riding around to stay in touch with the world. Yes, listening to audible books. That is great. Knitting, which I do also, and I love it. Working in clay, studying Czech language, watching webinars, reading. Learning more on PBS shows. That's something I thought of too. Instead of just randomly going through all the channels on the TV, looking actually for something that can teach you something on a new topic. Same thing, looking at YouTube and learning how to fix things. I know my husband's been working on that. And reading, keeping books for an organization. Again, another knitter, which is great. And researching for a story they're writing. Yeah, it's really good to make good use of this time at home. So you guys have really great ideas. And I'm going to share with you a few more ideas that might help you during this time. A lot of people mentioned readings. You could always look up blogs also to read things on a favorite or new topic. Taking classes online. And also a really good reference for memory enhancing is to look up games online or board games you can do at home with the people that you live with. Also doing crosswords, Sudoku, or online brain games, which are really good for your memory. Learning a new language is another one I was going to mention. It sounds like at least one person mentioned that. And engaging in creative hobbies at home, maybe things that you haven't had time to do, but things that can challenge you in your mind and develop new skills. And also having in-depth discussions with others over FaceTime or Zoom on topics that are important to you, or maybe seeking out people that know things about a topic that you'd like to learn about. Okay, so if you want to go back to your wheel, to the intellectual portion, then just go ahead and shade in the level of confidence or satisfaction that you're having right now in the area of intellectual wellness during this time of COVID and having to be safer at home. So now I'm going to pass it on to Patricia, and she's going to explore financial wellness.
Thanks, Jane. So the last section, financial wellness, it is a feeling of satisfaction about your financial situation. Finances are a common stressor for people, so being able to minimize worry about this aspect of your life can enhance your overall wellness. So managing your financial health, first thinking about risk of cognitive decline. For example, there are age-related changes in memory, which are a natural consequence of aging. But there are strategies to help with memory decline, such as staying mentally active and getting organized in ways such as using a to-do list or limiting distractions. There's also prevention of fraud. Financial fraud and abuse often target older adults, and it can be helpful to understand how to identify fraudulent phone calls or internet threats. Take a moment to think about how COVID has impacted your finances. Perhaps living in isolation has changed your spending patterns. There are many different ways to budget and manage retirement savings. Many of us have our own personal financial goals and have discovered money management tips that work for us. Something that I personally find helpful is using an online budgeting tool, which I can access through my smartphone. This way it is easy for me to see a visual chart of my spending patterns for the week, month, or year. So again, this should be the final section left to fill out in your wellness wheel. And now I will turn it over to Marissa.
Thanks. Now that we've covered all 8 areas of wellness and we've shaded in each component, let's all look at our wellness wheels and examine which areas we're doing really well in and which areas where we're not doing as well in. The benefit of this wheel is that it really gives us a clear visual guide as to how we're doing holistically. So we can go to the next slide. The next part of this presentation / workshop is that we're going to enter breakout rooms for about 10 minutes so we can have some small group discussion together. You'll be invited to join a breakout room of a few people, and there will be one of us in there, one of the OT students. And if you're comfortable, we'd really love if you'd share your wellness wheel with each other and talk about the areas that you're doing really well in and the areas where maybe you feel like you're struggling a little bit more. Then together as a small group, we'd like you to brainstorm strategies to problem solve and promote wellness in the areas that you're struggling. There will be a 60-second countdown to remind you to come back into the main room when the 10 minutes are up. And so when the 10 minutes are up, we'll all return to this room. We will have a large group discussion where maybe a representative or two from each group can share any big takeaways, common themes, solutions from the discussion. So again, so the 2 things that we'll all be doing in the breakout rooms are sharing how we're doing right now during COVID with our wellness wheel, and then brainstorming strategies to improve any areas of struggle. Are there any questions before we send everyone to their breakout rooms at this time? Okay, it looks like we're okay.
I'll start the breakout rooms and I'll pop in between each to give everybody an update on how much time is left and everything.
Thanks.
We're all returning back now.
Not all voluntarily.
Yeah, sometimes it just forces you to move, which is great because then we're all on the same page, but it's also a little abrupt. But there's not much we can do about it, really. Just it's a little forced.
I have the poll ready if you guys would like to do that.
Oh, great. I think we want to hear a little bit from the groups and then we'll jump into that afterward. Cool. Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah.
So I would like to hear from the groups. I know that my group didn't get through all the questions. So if your group had any problem solving that you did, I'd like to hear that. But if you didn't get to that part, I can't speak. Please feel free to share something that maybe you learned about yourself as we went through this process. And I hope I can hear from a couple different people in different groups.
Okay, I'll share. So this is Lynn Corner, and I was in the group, talking about how I'm trying to learn Spanish. I've taken several Spanish classes, and I still can't speak the language. I know some words. And so Leslie Porter and I think it's Priska Wu both gave me some tips on things that I could do to help. For example, Leslie Porter said that I could go online and see if I can find a language school or either a group where maybe the person speaks Spanish, fluent Spanish, and they want to learn English, and then I speak fluent English and I want to learn Spanish, and maybe we can get together and share that way. And then also Priska, she suggested that I write down the children's names who I know, I can't communicate with them right now, and maybe that'll motivate me to really learn the language. So those are 2 ideas that I'm going to do.
Great.
And I appreciate everyone's suggestions.
Thank you for sharing. I heard in my group as well that there's a couple people learning a new language, which is great. It's great for your mental health as well as just intellectual as well. I hate to cut everybody off, but I realize that we don't have a lot of time and I would like to get to the other things as well, but we will work on providing more opportunities to discuss in larger and smaller groups as we go through. So thank you everybody for sharing and being a part of our groups. Now we can do the poll, Courtney, thank you. And I'm gonna share my screen again so that we can see a little bit more as well.
Just wait to share your screen until the poll's done. I think it'll be easier for people.
Okay.
Okay, so on your screen, you should see a pop-up asking you to answer a question. The question set is asking you to identify which area is your greatest strength. I'll give you a few seconds to answer that, and then I will reveal the results. Courtney, if you could reveal it maybe within 5 seconds.
Yeah, I can see how many people are answering the question, so I'll give them
Okay.
maybe another few seconds. Right now we have 13 of 32, so let's get that number up. It's kind of fun watching it. I can see the percentages going up and down for each of the answers. A little competition. Is anybody having trouble seeing the poll?
I can see the
Questions
poll,
are
but I
there?
can't submit my
There's
answer.
just 2 questions. Which dimension is your strongest, and then which dimension would you like to improve in? Is anybody having trouble?
I'm only seeing one slide that says large group discussion. So,
Okay, can you see it now?
I can't see it, probably because I already finished it.
If you already finished it, then it won't be up any longer. I'll give you guys another 15 seconds to try and get your answers in.
Oh, which dimension?
All right, I'm going to close the poll now. So I'm going to just take a screenshot of it real quick, and then I'm going to share it with you guys.
How many did you get out of the total of 30-some?
32 people are still here, and we got 23 or 24. Can you guys see the results?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so as you all can see, there looks like there's a lot of variety amongst the group. We all have different strengths, and it's great that we are able to recognize them. Our strengths can help us adjust during difficult times such as now. So now I would like to ask you the next poll question. Courtney, if you could pull it up.
Oh, it was in the same one.
Oh, you have to scroll down. Okay.
Oh.
So below, I see that there's also a lot of variety. And looking at these results, it's important to remember that you could use your strengths to help improve what you would like to work on. And as a community, you can come together to help one another. So thank you for participating in the poll. And now I will turn it over to Marissa.
Yeah, here, let me share my screen. Move through.
Okay, so in conclusion, this pandemic has undoubtedly affected our wellness in various areas of our life. Often when we think about how we're doing, we may only think about a couple of areas and neglect other aspects of our wellness. But it is only through holistic self-awareness that we can address our needs and ultimately more fully promote our health and wellness. The wellness wheel is a strategy that we can all use to go deeper into our reflection and check how we're truly doing and which areas of our wellness need more support. So there's many components to wellness. It's never just that we're well or not well. And wellness is different for each person. So in this way, the pandemic not only affects us collectively, but also individually. But as a community, especially within the Emeriti Center, we can work together through this shared experience and support each other in promoting wellness in whatever each person's individual needs are. And we can be resilient in this pandemic. Next, I'm going to pass it to Cheyenne, and she's going to talk to you about our one-on-one consultations.
So thank you, Marissa, and thank you all for joining us again. We encourage you to continue to think about your overall wellness during this time. And if you would like further support in promoting or even maintaining your own wellness during this pandemic, please fill out the survey. We will send it to you after this. And we will be providing one-on-one consultations where you'll meet with us and we will support you in whatever needs you would like. So fill out the consultation, the survey, and we will be contacting you in the next week. So yeah, please, thank you for joining us. We really enjoy being here, and we're sorry we went over time just a little bit.
Oh, that's not a problem at all. And Courtney's done a wonderful job sort of keeping us all together. Thank you, Courtney. And thank you to our 7 wonderful students. I would highly recommend that when Courtney sends out the follow-up, many of you did not register, so I'm not sure if you want to send, if you would like to receive the email that Courtney's going to send out to everyone, please send in a request to emeriti@usc.edu and we'll send it to you. But we're going to ask you for feedback on this event and also to please sign up for the individual consultations. This is part of training, and as you can tell, these students are absolutely amazing.
Yes.
So I've already signed up for a one-on-one, and I'm going to have them help me get better and be more well. So I encourage you all to do that if you have time, and they will schedule it whatever is best in your time frame. Does anybody have any questions for Courtney? Any last remarks?
Thank you.
I'll be sending the email out tonight around 5 or 6. So just keep an eye out for it, and that will have the link to sign up for a one-on-one session, which I highly recommend. I'm signed up as well.
Courtney,
Yes.
yes. I signed up for a one-on-one consultation a couple of weeks ago. So should I redo it or are we good?
Yeah, we did get yours. We have it.
Oh, okay.
We're just making sure that we do them all in the same time, and we wanted to have some time to practice, but we will be contacting you very soon. So thank you for checking in on that.
I can still do the survey. I'd love to do that. Thank you.
I have a question. Did we need to register specifically for this session? Because I was already registered for the Emeriti Zoom, so I didn't sign in. So
you didn't?
You don't have to.
I mean, I can still, but
we're just figuring it out, Courtney. It's helpful to us for our records and also to email you back for that specific session. It's not mandatory. Courtney, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's not necessary. I usually can go in our database and find your email so that I can make sure you get the OT survey at the end. But you do have to sign up for the OT survey with that link that we send out in the evaluation form too.
Do the students get credit? Do
they get practice?
I mean, do you have to do this for a certain amount of hours to get credit for it?
From what I understand, we are considered full-time sort of employees as practice. We're obviously not getting paid for this, but it's all included in what we're doing here. And it will count toward our degree as a whole and our ability to sit for our board exam.
Just to clarify, it's not necessarily a certain number of hours, but rather the time frame, the duration in terms of number of weeks. So they're all working full time for the next few weeks. So as much experience as they can get, the better. It definitely helps.
And we want to commend our retirees. So you're so helpful in helping students learn how to communicate and practice in their careers. And so if you would like to invite a neighbor or someone else to have these one-on-ones, please do so. Okay. Well, again, thank you everyone for joining us. We hope to see you back again next Friday.